Over the years, one thing has kept repeating itself within the faith. People powerfully used by God, voices that shaped generations, fruitful ministries, and still, stories that end in collapse, scandal, or deep pain. And the question is almost always the same. How did someone so used by God end up here? I kept thinking about that, and I realized that maybe we're asking the wrong question. Because the issue isn't how someone used by God falls. The real question is this: does being used by God mean being aligned with God? And those are not the same thing. You can have an active gift. You can speak words that move hearts. You can have a faith story that inspires, and still be drifting away from something He already told you. Because God doesn't take the gift away when you fail, but He also doesn't ignore disobedience. When God speaks and you choose another path. There's a story in the Bible that we almost never hear being told. It's in 1 Kings 13. A young prophet called directly by God. The instruction was clear: go to Bethel, prophesy against the altar, and then return. But do not eat anything, do not drink anything, and do not return by the same way. Simple, direct, no room for interpretation. He went. He prophesied. The word was fulfilled. And then, on the way back, an older prophet appears. A respected man. A man who had once been used by God. And this man says, God changed his mind. An angel told me, you can come back with me. You can eat at my house. And the young prophet believed him. He traded the voice he heard directly from God for a voice that sounded spiritual. The Bible says in 1 Kings 13:24, as he went on his way, a lion met him and killed him. On the road. After the initial obedience, after the miracle, but also after the disobedience. And that story scares me. Because it's not about someone who rejected God. It's about someone who heard God and then listened to something else. The miracle happened, but access was denied. Moses is another case that makes me think. Moses, who spoke with God face to face, who saw the burning bush, who parted the sea, who received the law. In the desert, the people complain again. God tells Moses to gather the people and speak to the rock. Just speak, the water would come out. But Moses was tired, irritated, disappointed with those people. And instead of speaking, he struck the rock. Twice. In anger. The water came out. The miracle happened. The people drank. But God said something cutting. Because you did not trust me enough to honor me as holy in the sight of the Israelites, you will not bring this assembly into the land I give them. Moses led for 40 years, but he did not enter. The miracle happened, but access was denied. Because God honored the people, but dealt with the leader. And that teaches me something deep. Calling sustains function. Obedience sustains access. God may continue to use you while He deals with what's wrong. But don't confuse that with approval. The fish was not a process, it was correction. Jonah is another clear example. God said, go to Nineveh. Jonah ran toward Tarshish. Storm, fear, confession, sea, fish, 3 days in the dark, at the bottom, enforced silence. And when the fish spit Jonah out onto the shore, the Bible says the word of the Lord came to Jonah a second time. The same word, the same destination. Only now with trauma, exhaustion, and wasted time. The fish was not a spiritual process, it was correction. And there are people calling disobedience God's timing, people romanticizing escape. But Nineveh was still the destination. The difference is that Jonah could have gone straight there. Instead, he chose the more painful road. What has God already told you? Look, I don't know where you are right now. Maybe lying in bed after a long day, maybe awake late at night alone with that feeling that something doesn't fit. But I know one thing. If God already spoke clearly to you and you're waiting for Him to say it in another way, maybe the problem isn't God's voice. Maybe it's our choice. Because we want confirmation. We want someone else to validate it. We want it to be easier, more comfortable, more acceptable in the eyes of others. But sometimes God speaks once and waits for obedience, not out of control, but because He knows what's coming, and He wants to spare you from the fish, from the consequence, from denied access. While there is still a voice, there is still a chance. That's the good news. As long as God is still speaking, there is still time to realign. He doesn't take the gift away to punish you. He sustains the calling because He is faithful. But He also won't pretend everything is fine when it isn't, because He loves you too much for that. So tonight, before you fall asleep, it might be worth asking, where has God already spoken clearly to me? What am I relativizing? What voices are competing with His? Just because God uses you doesn't mean He ignores disobedience. And you? Is there something God already told you, but you're still negotiating? Share it in the comments. No judgment, just honesty. If this video touched you, leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more conversations like this. Real, deep, and without filters.